Lovely. Right, Bep, hello
Hi.
and
Hey here,
welcome,
everyone.
welcome. Yeah, welcome to our storytelling webinar. So, Bep, I've known you for a little while, and I've known you in lots and lots of different guises, and you're one of our valued colleagues working with us on the topic of resilience. So, I'm going to ask you about your story about how come you, who did not start in the world of resilience, are now working on the topic of resilience. And I'm going to ask you some questions using this background. So, you tell me, where were you a while back before you started your own business? What was your reality then?
So my reality was working at a chocolate factory that you may all know, Mars, based in Slough, doing a PR role. So I had been there probably for about 15, 16 years. I've been brought up a Mars baby, actually. So my dad used to work there. My dad used to work in the factory. My mum had worked at Mars Electronics, and Mars was kind of in the blood. And I did a trade marketing role, a sales role, a sales trainer role,
Yeah,
and got moved into a PR role, a trade PR role, actually.
right. So there you were at Mars, and you had something happened, a challenge happened, right? What happened?
A cancer diagnosis. So, probably the challenge that nobody wants in their lives. And I was just merrily kind of doing my own thing. But then when cancer comes knocking, you have to stop and pay attention.
Yeah, and you got through that diagnosis, which is quite many years ago now, and you then came back into the world of work, thinking about what you were going to do in the world of work, right?
Well, I think before cancer, I was very much focused on what everybody else needed from me and the role that I played. So I was so focused on my role as a wife, as a sister, as a daughter, as an employee of a huge organization, and especially such a high profile role, I suppose, and being the spokesperson for Mars. So when I suppose cancer came knocking, it made me stop and think about, when you face your mortality, I suppose you look at your life in a very different way. And so whilst I stepped back into the corporate world, I everything around me had changed, or even how I was perceived by people, I suppose, was different. And it just made me really stop and think about what was really important to me. And when you realize that life might not be as long as you had previously thought it could be, it does make you prioritize things in a very different way.
And what therefore where did that take you on your journey in terms of your own business, which I know you have now? How did you marry those two?
Well, I suppose I realized that when adversity hits, and adversity can take so many different forms, from divorce, from bereavement, from anything in life that happens to us that we may not necessarily be prepared for or wanting, I suppose. It made me realize what a gap there was in the marketplace in how we deal with adversity, particularly in the corporate world for me at that time. And so I had the opportunity to take redundancy, and again, a very courageous decision, one that my husband was really not behind, because working for yourself, you don't know when obviously the next paycheck's going to come from. And when you have had a cancer diagnosis, as having our bills paid was a huge benefit at that time. And so, but I don't know, the courage was there, and I knew I had to just go and see what else I could do and to give my life the meaning that I needed it to have, so that I was at peace with all of that. So I left and set up my resilience business. Because I realized that that was a tool that a lot of us would need, and rather from a proactive perspective, not a reactive perspective. I wanted people to think about how in line they were living their lives before adversity hit, like what decisions are you making day to day that enable you to live a life in which you thrive. So yeah, so that's where it's taken me, really.
Yeah, so you now have a business which trains, facilitates, and coaches resilience. And actually, if you're interested, Beth also has an amazing assessment called Resilience at Work. So yes, she came out of what they call in the storytelling arc. She came out of a known world, which changed hugely. She went into an unknown world, and now your new known world is around helping businesses and individuals with resilience. Thank you so much for sharing your personal story.